Welcome back to another episode of All Things Everything presented by Gulf Coast Smoke. My name is Alonzo.
And I'm Sabrina.
And this is episode 25, and you'll notice that today we're starting out with the guest. We don't typically do this, but we feel like we might have a lot to talk about today when it comes to our friend. Man, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being on. Go ahead and introduce yourself just for everybody that may not know who you are.
Hey everyone, my name's Sebastian, and I own BBQ Fiends, a food truck up in the Austin, Texas area.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that you just saying that gave me chills because, man, and I'm getting chills like thinking about what we're going to talk about today because, man, people that may not know, I've known Sebastian for actually a really long time in my entire life, not even just barbecue related. We've been friends for a long time. Probably before we even thought we would ever be doing anything on a barbecue pit. I mean, we would probably think, oh, one day we'll mess around in the backyard with our families, but nothing like this. So realistically, I wanted to start this by just saying, man, how long have we known each other? From your recollection, how long have we known each other? What are some of the dumb things that we've done in the past as kids? And, you know, of course, now where are we at? You know, we have families. Life's changed a lot.
Yeah, man, I think we first crossed paths maybe in elementary school.
It was, yeah.
We both went to
East Cliff, yeah.
And I guess, 9 years old, 10 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
Fast forward, and, you know, I think we're about to be 35 probably, you know?
Yeah,
a long time, man, long time.
It's been a very long time, and it's funny to think about, right? Because, you know, man, I remember all the things we did at East Cliff, like, when we went through our Pokemon phase, when we went through the scooter phase, there was the, you know, when we used to push each other on the tire phase, like, man, there was so much going on. I specifically remember so many times going to your house in high school, and so people that don't know, Sebastian used to play in a band in high school, and I think maybe a little bit after too, and he was a guitarist. And so we would play Guitar Hero at his house, and Sebastian would just always shred it, and I would be so mad because I'm like, bro, how he beat everything on expert, and I'd be pissed off. I'd be like, dude, there's no way, bro. And he'd tell me, get on Sweet Child of Mine, and he would like teach me like, and I seriously still remember how it started, right? Like where my fingers were and everything. I remember it vividly, and man, we had a lot of fun. We hung out a lot with your good friend, my good friend, Brandon. Man, in college, we lived in Austin in the same town, like in the same apartment complex. There's been a lot. So we're going to talk about probably little things like that throughout this show. We wanted to kind of give a quick recap of just how long we've known each other so everybody understands out there that, you know, when we're talking about these things, it's coming from, man, we've known each other for a long time. We've seen what each other is doing out there in the world now, and it really is cool to see unfold. So a little bit of a history on Sebastian and I, but now we're going to get into heavy BBQ Fiends. So how did you get into barbecue? Is BBQ Fiends something that you always wanted for your future?
Yeah, so, you know, I got into barbecue originally kind of growing up. I think barbecue was like a community family thing, you know, where we were getting together in the backyard, friends, family, and just kind of grilling, right? My dad would grill a lot, and it's just stuff like chicken, you know, fajitas, you know, that traditional Tex-Mex down south stuff, you know what I mean? But it brought people together, right? And I remember like growing up, man, those were like super good times where our family was there and enjoying each other and, you know, super good food. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, moving to Austin, it was very difficult for me to start it up. I knew I always wanted to, you know, barbecue and stuff like that. But living in apartments and stuff up here, your options are very limited.
For sure.
So there's actually pictures like that I actually found on like my Instagram where like I'm grilling on those apartment grills where it's just like one grate and like nothing there, like no airflow. You're just kind of hoping that you cooked something good.
For sure. I was
like, oh, okay, cool, man. Like I was trying back then.
Yeah.
You know? And then it just kind of evolved, man. You know, we rented our first house back in 2017 up here, and I'm not even joking, man. Like that same week that we moved in, I placed an order for a char griller barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
like just a normal pit, man. And I want to say like that first weekend that we were in the house, like I literally like broke it
Mm-hmm.
in. Nothing good, you know what I mean? I was just kind of messing around, think like drumsticks, you know. And then from there, dude, I was like, I just got like the bug, man. You know what I mean? Like I got like the itch, and I was like, dude, this is like, kind of fun again. And I was like inviting friends over, and
Mm-hmm.
family was enjoying it, and it's kind of snowballed, right? Next thing you know, like I'm sponsored by Char Griller, right? From starting Instagram. I think I made my first post back in 2018 on Instagram, and you can probably go back and see it. It is a terrible post. It's like a rack of like raw ribs and like Famous Dave's barbecue seasoning, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had no idea kind of what I was doing, but Instagram was huge, man. Like that was a huge thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
We basically kind of blew up off that, back whenever we started it, there wasn't a whole lot of barbecue influencers, at that time. And we were just posting, and like people were, kind of loving the stuff. And, that came with sponsorships and people sending us pits and seasonings and all types of cool stuff, that we could use.
Anybody that doesn't follow Sebastian, it's at BBQ Fiends on Instagram, has some of the best pictures in barbecue, and I stand by that. He's really one of the reasons why I figured, man, I got to kind of step my game up, because it's funny that you mention it. In the very beginning, Sabrina and I have talked about it so many times. Dude, you go back and look at our pictures, it's like, dude, what was I thinking posting that? But you only know what you know, right? You're having such a blast, and you're learning everything about this. And man, you're just like, oh my gosh, this rack of ribs was amazing. May not look great, but you're proud of it, so you're posting it. And I think that that's something that people, if you're out there and you're considering starting an Instagram, or you want to start a food truck, or you want to do something, man, you got to make that first post. You gotta do that first thing. Sebastian just said his first post was horrible. Our first YouTube video was horrible, and look at Sebastian now, absolutely blossomed from that. And it's just really cool to see. So if you guys don't follow Sebastian on Instagram, definitely do that.
Well, and I think it's very interesting how similar the stories are between how you got into barbecue and us, because we moved into our house 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of when he got, your first Weber kettle.
Yeah, so same thing as Sebastian, right? And we've talked about this before, so we won't go too far into it. Man, Dad grilling in the backyard was like, that's what we lived for.
Right.
We wanted those beef ribs, the beef finger ribs. Like my dad made the best beef finger ribs with Kraft barbecue sauce. But that's what we loved. And man, so when we bought this house, 2017 October, we bought a Weber kettle, and then we very quickly after that bought a Rectech. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So we were just grilling and smoking all the time. And we'll get into this a little bit, but I eventually found out, obviously, that you were doing it too. And then our friendship, even though we've always been friends, it like rekindled, right? We started talking almost every single day, all day about barbecue. And you're the reason why we started that Instagram page. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So it's really cool to hear that even you say in the beginning, man, your stuff wasn't that great, but you still started. And now, again, look where you're at.
And so when did that thought come up to create BBQ Fiends?
Yeah, so BBQ Fiends was, whenever we first made an Instagram, it was just my middle name. It was like Kane Barbecue, right? At that time, we were just focusing on pictures, kind of recipes, things like that. But BBQ Fiends really launched in 2020 and became a thought right as like COVID was starting. It was kind of birthed out of that because, I was sidelined. I couldn't work, wife couldn't work. We were stuck at home for like months. Mm-hmm. And that really gave me a lot of time to develop recipes and make sides and really dial in, the meats and everything like that I wanted to do. So at that point, I had a lot of extra time, spent a lot of time developing things. And I was like, man, if we ever make it out of this, right? Because we didn't know what was going to happen, right? And so I was like, if we ever make it out of COVID and can get out there again, I would love to start serving food just to, mess around with, kind of test the waters, see if there was even a market for us to do that. So yeah, that's basically where it really started. And I mean, I remember those days, whenever we first, I guess, got quarantined or whatever. Man, I was literally cooking like every single day. Like you can probably look back at my Instagram at that point, and like you'll literally see me like post almost every single day because I had so much food and so much content at that time.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, like Sabrina said, it's kind of weird. It's not weird, but it's crazy to hear because, man, when I tell you that is exactly what we were doing. Like, you can ask her. I don't work for this job anymore, so I feel comfortable saying this. But, dude, I was supposed to clock in at 8 a.m. I would roll out of bed at like 7:58, log into my VPN, pretend that I was working, and I would just go in the backyard and cook breakfast every day.
On the griddle,
breakfast
like
on the griddle
day.
every single day, dude. And then we're just making whatever. We're not even allowed to leave the house, and I'm curbsiding briskets, and I'm like messaging the lady on Favor. I'm like, please get a brisket that's at least 18 pounds. Please look at the fat striations. Like, and this lady is like, probably, what the hell is this guy asking for? But I'm trying my best to get quality meats and cook. And yeah, I agree, man. Quarantine was huge. And, again, we started Instagram not too long after you. And, yeah, it's just so funny how this horrible thing that happened in our lives is almost like one of the, I don't want to say one of the best things for us, but it really allowed us to have that creativity, that space where I think now we're definitely blossoming.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if it wouldn't have happened that way, like I'm not sure, where BBQ Fiends would be, because it gave us so much time to really cook and think about it, right? Because it was like, man, like I had so much time to sit there and be like, okay, this is what I want to do, right? I fell in love with it, right? And that's whenever we had made the decision that that we wanted to move forward with serving people. And honestly, it's funny, we're talking about the Instagram too. I literally remember like posting something on Facebook, and you like messaged me, or you like sent me a text or something like that.
Yeah,
and you're like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "This is like my thing." Like I was like, I post like barbecue stuff, and you were like, "Dude, I barbecue all the time," and like you started like sending me your pictures and stuff like that. But you're like, "I don't know, I don't know about posting it and stuff." I remember like how that all played out.
100%. So the exact story is. Your wife, so we all grew up in the same town, right? So your wife is also a friend of mine on Facebook, been for 20 years. I don't know, as long as Facebook's been alive, right? Because we've all known each other so long. She shared a post that was a char griller's recipe, and it said, at that time, I'm almost positive it was still Cane barbecue, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember it was a pulled pork recipe. And I clicked on the link and I scrolled through it and I was looking at it and I'm like, Cane, but like that's Sebastian's middle name. Like this, I think this is Sebastian. And so, yeah, then I texted you, I was like, hey bro, is this you? And you were like, LOL, yeah, this is me. And I think in the beginning, it just was like, there's no way this is happening because I'm like so addicted to smoking meats right now. Come to find out, I have a good friend who's actually doing it, and they're pretty successful at it on Instagram. And then, yeah, so then you were just like, dude, man, just post. Like, what's it going to hurt, bro? Like, nothing bad can come of this. And for maybe like a week or two, I kept telling you, like, nah, I'm good. I don't really want to get into that. It's not my thing, and blah, blah, blah. And then finally, I don't know what exactly you said, but I was just like, okay, yeah, I'll make an Instagram. And then I started looking at logos and thinking of a name. And dude, it just ever since then. But yes, that is the story. Your wife shared that post and I saw it and I was like, this is Sebastian. Like oh no, you know what? I think it was BBQ Fiends, but I think it said Sebastian Cane. And that's how I knew it was you because of course that's a very unique middle name. And, I just was like, there's no way. There's no way this is happening. Like, this is just the most perfectly aligned thing that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it played out, and which is super cool. I'm trying to think back. Do you remember what year that was? Was that during COVID or a little bit before?
I think so. If I'm not mistaken, we were thinking about this as well. I think we started posting in 2019. we started posting on Instagram in 2019, and we started doing YouTube in 2020, in the very beginning of 2020. So we had like a full year there where we were posting strictly on Instagram and nowhere else. We weren't even cross-posting to Facebook or anything. We were just posting on Instagram, and we actually didn't even have success. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, your pictures are horrible or you're not good at this, but we really didn't have any success. And you and I had plenty of conversations about that. It's like, hey man, what do you think of my pictures? And I'm not growing. And you were really popping off at that time. And like everything that we would be like, dude, like, did you see what Sebastian made? Like, damn, this looks good. I specifically remember there was one picture you posted of a waffle where you made pork belly and you put it on top of it, and I was showing my wife. I was like, dude, like, look at the stuff that this dude is coming up with. And we are just, like, I'm getting, and looking back on it now, I can see why we weren't growing, right? Because I'm getting, like, pre-made stuffed cheese, bacon-wrapped chicken breasts. Like, how are you really going to grow doing that? But, like I said earlier, I was just posting what we were cooking, dude, and I was having a blast. And it tasted delicious, and I wasn't really thinking too much of it. But what really opened our eyes was that, remember that Traeger game day?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. That was actually like a huge thing that they would do.
That was a huge thing, and that's when we started. We actually were like, okay, let's make something and try and plate it and have fun with it. And that's really when we were like, man, like this is much funner than just posting fajitas and putting them on, Instagram, like chopped up fajitas that they look good, but they're just fajitas. They're nothing crazy. And that's really when we were like, okay, let's get into this. Let's start trying to make our food look good and not just taste good. But man, I mean, honestly, for that first year, I mean, I would say that I don't want to say unsuccessful, but we definitely did not grow very much. But I think that we found over time we were much better at making long form videos. And that's why we went a completely different path, right? And, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit, but we did go way different paths, right? Like I started doing long form videos with my wife, and you kept doing the social media thing. And now, I mean, your posts are just of your beautiful plating that you have out there at your, it's your stuff. And I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, dude, just the food, like it all looks so, so good. And we'll get into BBQ Fiends, the food truck, here in a little bit. But man, I mean, from your point of view, what do you think about your growth from that moment in 2019 when you first posted to now? Obviously, a lot has happened, but I mean, I remember there was a time actually, and I think it was towards the end of your college career, where you would text me and you'd be like, dude, I'm not posting content. I don't have too much time right now. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I'm about to get a job, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to cook as much. So I remember those things. A lot of people that are listening, they probably have no idea that happened. And, not to like put your stuff out there, but there's definitely been times of struggling there, even though now you're prospering.
Yeah, the whole content creation and the way that Instagram ended up being was, whenever I was doing it, it was heavy picture based, right? Like that would win in algorithms. And then they changed their whole platform to do videos, and I think later reels and stuff like that. And I couldn't keep up with it, man. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, like I just couldn't keep up with the change. And I think me and you talked about it, a lot back then, right? I was just like, man, like I'm kind of just my account's getting left on the wayside now. Pictures aren't, doing well anymore. And it was also at that time that, I was finishing up with school. And I just didn't have a lot of time, man. I didn't have a lot of time to post and do stuff like that. But I was always, trying to work towards serving food, right? Mm-hmm. That was like our ultimate goal, like always in the back burner. I always knew that, okay, if I don't have time to post and do this, it is what it is, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm still getting what I need done to reach my ultimate goal, right? Which is start the food truck.
Sure.
So that was always happening in the background. And so, basically Instagram kind of slowing down for me and kind of, slowing our posts down really got us to the next step where in the summer of 2020, we moved into a new house, bought a new house. And again, it's kind of weird, right? The first thing I did was, there was a post on Texas barbecue where this guy posted a 250-gallon pit. And I just loved the way it looked, man. I was like, dude, this pit looks so nice. I reached out to him and I was like, hey, like, how long would it take for me to get one of these on a trailer? Specs, price, everything like that. He shot it all back to me. His name's Manny, Iron Bull Smokers out of Mission, Texas. Super cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up building our first 250-gallon pit, and we took possession of it in January of 2021. And from there, it was like, okay, we have this 250-gallon pit. It's game on now, right? Like,
sure.
Like we gotta, we can't just let this thing go to waste. So I was like, we have to start really hustling and kind of putting in work to grow. And I'll say this, man, like, looking back at that point in time, whenever we made our first post to now, dude, I'm super blessed, man, because, I have people and they're waiting in line for us, and we have regulars that come, dude, almost every weekend, man. I had like this one guy, he literally came like 5 weekends in a row and just ate with us, dude. And I was like, okay, that makes you feel super cool, right? Super accomplished. And you're like, man, like, okay, I guess our food's consistent. It's good, right? We're putting out the same product week in, week out. And so, looking back from that time to now, even though Instagram really didn't work out for us, I would have to say that, we are definitely on the right path. We're definitely blessed to be able to do what we're doing now. Basically, as soon as 2021 rolled around and we took possession of that pit, it was pop-ups, man. It was like pop-up season for us. There was like no breaks anymore. It was like, let's do this. We already had our recipes. We knew what we wanted to do. All we had to do was figure out how to do it in quantities. It was one thing to cook a brisket in our backyard, 1 or 2, whatever. But then it's another thing to be like, okay, dang, I need to cook like 6. I need to cook like 10. It changes your whole perspective on it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I do try and consistently tell people is, man, I might be able to cook you the most banging brisket in my backyard right over here, right? But in order to take it to another level, and this is why I respect anybody who puts a restaurant, that puts himself out there and has a restaurant or a food truck or something, you are cooking, like you said, 6, 10, 20, 50 briskets, and all of them have to be the same quality. That cannot be easy to do. I mean, when we go to a competition, I'm cooking 1 brisket, and so it's pretty easy, not to take anything away from it, but it's pretty easy to have all my attention on the 1 brisket and make sure I don't ruin it, right? And man, when you have a lot of elements going on and you have 20 briskets, 10 briskets, man, that's got to be tough. So absolute kudos to you for being able to figure those things out, how you can make 1 brisket and 10 briskets taste the same with the same exact quality.
Yeah, no, it's a huge challenge, man. I'm not gonna lie. The barbecue, I guess, restaurant industry, service food, whatever you want to call it, it's tough, man. It's a lot of work for sure, and it's a lot of trying to be consistent as possible, and trying to serve every week and make sure that people are happy, right? You also, you come off these shifts where you just cook for like 12, 14 hours straight, and then you go into serving. And, your customer service and everything like that, still has to be on point, right? You got to make people feel happy about it. And so barbecue is definitely, it's a challenge, man. But I love it, dude. Like, it's something that like I just have not grown tired like whatsoever. On the rare occasions that I do have a day off, like I'm literally in my backyard on my PK grill, like grilling something. You know what I mean? It's like I never grow tired of it, man. I just love I love it so much, dude. It's been a journey to get here, and we still have a long way to go, but it's been a lot of fun, man. Super fun.
That's awesome.
And so you were saying BBQ Fiends, the food truck, you were doing pop-ups for a while, but now you guys are in just one location. Is this a full-time food truck?
Yes. So basically, we did pop-ups from 2021 till actually all of 2021, all of 2022, and then beginning of 2023, we purchased a food truck. So we hustled for like 2 years under a tent. I mean, literally our first, and I think you can find it on social media. Like our first setup that we ever had was just one of those 10 by 10 tents from Academy and one table. Like literally that's all we had. Like, and that's all we, I guess really could afford and put into the business at that time. Just super rustic setup. Definitely difficult to serve or do anything on, just one table. It was nuts. I don't even know what we were thinking. But, as we made more money and stuff like that, we added another table. And then all of a sudden we have 3 tables and we're like, dude, we're freaking rocking and rolling now. You know what I mean? Like, it felt good. You know what I mean? To have 3 tables. And then, you go from like a Cambro, one of the normal, I guess, like ice chest style.
Yeah.
And then you get like the electric warmer. Right. And then you're like, oh man, this is even more, more efficient and my food's coming out better, whatever it may be. So we grew so much in 2 years and just hustled in the heat, in the elements, always outside under a tent at bars. Basically, that was kind of like our big thing was going to bars, homeowner association events, things like that, and just setting up just super rustic style. And just hustled for 2 years, and finally came across the chance to purchase a food truck. And so that happened, and then we launched the food truck January of 2023. So now the food truck, we did kind of like rotation. So up here in our area, there's a lot of breweries, right? A lot of local breweries, and they brew their own beer. They distill their own spirits. They do all this stuff. Well, the majority of them don't have food attached. So they have, deals worked out with food trucks and things like that to bring food in so people don't leave, right? They want people to drink beer and then be like, oh man, I'm hungry. I got to take off. No, they want the food trucks there to kind of help them out and retain some of that business. So we basically rotated between about 4 or 5 breweries in the area for about a year and I guess a quarter until finally we are going to be putting our roots down in a permanent spot.
Sweet. So this question kind of just come up in my head hearing you talk. Sabrina and I, we will never have a food truck or a restaurant. That's just not really what we want. But if there's anybody out there that does, how would they go about maybe trying to reach out to people the way you did and getting some of these opportunities like at a brewery or, I mean, we live over here in Corpus. There's really not as much options like that like you have. But, I mean, what advice would you give these people to say like, man, I want to do something food related. How can I reach out to these people? How did you do it?
Yeah. No, my background, is kind of in the sales and marketing department. That's just kind of where my skill set lays. And so, man, it was like, once I knew the food truck was coming, I Googled every single brewery, like within like a 20-mile radius. And I just started sending emails and emails and emails. And I was like, hey man, like we're getting a food truck. Can we come out there? Look at our Instagram, look at our Facebook, for reference. And, I mean, we definitely got a lot of opportunities through that way. And we settled on, about 4 or 5 that we definitely liked and that were closer to, kind of where our home base is. And so I would say, you got to put yourself out there, man, because once you get that food truck, the bills are due.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have overhead, right? You got your, if you have employees, you got to pay your team members. If you finance the truck, you got to pay financing. Then you got insurance on the truck, all different types of insurance. And so, the bills are due. It's time to, start kind of hustling. I would get that kind of ironed out right before you take possession of the food truck, because last thing you want to do is get a truck or, get your establishment and then you just don't have any customers or you don't have a spot to go. Then you're really in trouble, Yeah,
and that's great advice. That's great advice for anybody that's listening that wants to do this, because I'm sure there are a lot. That's really, really solid advice from Sebastian. So if you guys are ever interested in doing that, do your research. Like you said, this costs a lot of money. It takes time. But when you get there or when you want to start, man, really, really, really look into it and be smart about it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then, I think my biggest advice for, in the barbecue world and starting like a barbecue business is, you really have to think about, is your family on board, right?
Mm.
Because you can't, there's nobody that's going to be successful if their family's not on board with them like 100%, because this is such a grind and the hours are long, and, we're open on the weekends, so man, there's times where I don't see my family really,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just nothing I can do about it. You're kind of glued to the pits, you're glued on the truck. So, sacrifices, right? Especially in the barbecue world with where these hours and, the meat's done when it's done type of deal. You know what I mean? It's not like we're throwing some fajitas on a flat top and then, putting them right out. And so, I would say that's my advice too. If you want to go the barbecue route is, make sure that, your wife and your kids are supportive, and you and them, have come to an understanding that, man, it's you're going to be gone a lot, right?
Yeah.
You're going to work long hours, until you get going, right? So yeah, that's just something to definitely consider, because I think a lot of people get into it and then they don't really realize how much work is about to happen.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
No, that's all solid advice. That's all really.
little tidbit.
No, that's all really super solid advice. We appreciate that. Like I said, I don't have that in my notes or anything, but as we were talking, I'm thinking, man, there might be some people that can get some good info from this.
And is there a team effort behind the food truck, or is it usually just you out there?
No, so we've gone through team members, right? Whenever we first started, people come, they go, and things like that. Right now, we have probably the best team that we've ever had, right? I've been very fortunate to bring on. Well, I've always had a guy named Reno, right? I believe Alonzo, you know Reno.
I
You met
do
him
know Reno.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's
from Sinton.
he's an awesome dude. I could tell from the get go he was all in, and it's really cool to hear that he's still there and he's sticking with you.
Yeah, yeah. He's been there honestly since the very first pop up that we did, and he's been by my side through this all. He does a lot, man. He puts in a lot of work, a lot of dedication. So definitely couldn't do it without him. But we did recently bring on two new team members. One, Quentin Hugh. He was a former pitmaster at Terry Black's Barbecue, currently a pitmaster at Leroy and Lewis.
Nice.
So he is with us. He works weekends with us. And then we brought on Mark. He is another former pitmaster at Terry Black's. He's going to be doing a lot of cooking for us, and then some food truck work.
Okay.
So, between all four of us, it's spread out a little bit more, right? So where it's not falling completely on me, because, I really wanted to have a team, and I wanted to be able to grow and be able to kind of establish ourselves. And, it's too tough with just one guy or two guys. You know what I mean? You have to have more people in this business. You have to be able to really build this team to expand and grow. So right now, man, our team's super solid. These guys, they came from Terry Black's, and kid you not, like, they were part of a team that was cooking 300 briskets a day.
Wow.
300, man. Yeah, it's like insane. Like, their knowledge is insane. Super good pit masters, super good guys, just totally dedicated to their craft. And I believe, it's definitely going to elevate our food even more, right? Because now we have all this extra knowledge from insiders in the industry, as opposed to me, who never had any restaurant knowledge, right? I was just kind of trying to figure this out, myself. The Aaron Franklin book was, that was like a huge thing for me, man. Like, getting that book, like, really, like, helped me out. And then, of course, YouTube videos and then trial and error. But, these guys, they were in the thick of it, and they learned from, firsthand from professionals. So yeah, that's basically our team. We got 4 people right now. Depending on how we go, we may add one more person.
That's awesome. I had no idea it expanded that much, and that's really, really cool to hear that you got such a team that has, like you said, all that knowledge. But obviously, kudos to you for starting it up and doing it with no restaurant experience. And now, look, I mean, things seem to be going pretty dang good. But, man, let's talk a little bit about, we obviously know that BBQ Fiends serves barbecue. Are there any specialties that you guys work on? I mean, what are you guys serving up at the food truck on a weekend and week out basis? How would I say that? I was going to say on a weekend and week out, but on a weekend basis, maybe?
Yeah, weekend basis.
Yeah, on a weekend basis.
For us.
Yeah, for you for now, what type of food are you guys serving up on the truck?
Yeah, so we kind of specialize in Tex-Mex like craft barbecue, right? So everything is made from scratch.
Okay.
We have 5 meats. We have, of course, your brisket, your ribs, 2 house-made sausages, and turkey. And then we have 4 sides, loaded potato salad, street corn, charro beans, and Spanish rice.
Nice.
So those items are like on the menu at all times. Like every time we open, they're pretty much there, right? And you can build your plates, you can build your platters, whatever it may be. Now our specials, we have like rotating specials. We recently started doing smoked brisket cheeseburgers, and dude, we can't even keep up with it, man. Like they are like flying out of the truck. It's insane. We don't even, we don't produce enough trim to keep up with them.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. We don't produce enough brisket trim to keep up with them. And so that's been a huge seller for us. Another one of our huge sellers is brisket elote cups.
Okay.
So we a lot of what we do was inspired by Corpus Christi, right? And growing up down there in the South and eating that type of food, the traditional Mexican Tex-Mex food and everything like that. Because there's not a lot of places up here that really taste like home. You know what I mean? That really tastes like Corpus Christi. It's different. And so, we wanted to make sure that we were bringing kind of those flavors and stuff like that up here, but then putting the barbecue spin on it, right? So yeah, brisket elote cups are another one of our big specials. What else do? We do a special called the Texican, which is a layer of our charro beans topped with Spanish rice, smoked barbacoa, and salsa verde. Super good.
That sounds fire.
It's super good, man. It's a big bowl, and people love it. Comes with their tortilla and stuff like that. And that's just like a taste of home. We call that, basically the taste of home. Of course, barbacoa. Yeah, that's always a good special that we have. Every now and then, man, we'll do like pork belly burnt ends. We don't really try to limit ourselves in our specials, but I will say that before a special does hit the board, like we work with it, quite a bit before we're like, okay, now it's time to debut it, right? We want to make sure that it's good, because all it takes is that one bad serving, and someone's gonna be like, man, what's wrong with this place? Like, why did I even try this? You know what I mean? They kind of write you off like right there. So we try to make sure that everything is like as consistent and like as perfect as we can make it. And I think once the truck starts opening up, technically kind of full time, we're gonna bring in like maybe once a month, twice a month, beef ribs, the dino ribs.
Sweet.
Yeah, people love that stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's huge, dude. It's like it's a #1 seller, but we wanted to make sure that we get them right. We've already done some test runs on them. Probably do a couple more test runs before we put them on the menu.
And you're gonna need another pit pretty soon.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I mean, so we're working with a 500-gallon mill scale,
which is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you, dude. Like, man, I'm super happy about that pit, dude. It's like it came out so awesome. Those guys, they really know what they're doing, man. It's crazy the design and how efficient it is. I remember like whenever I first cooked on it, it's such an efficient smoker. Like I ran like my same methods of cooking brisket or whatever that I normally did on my 250. Man, those briskets literally cooked in like 9 hours. Like that's how much convection and how efficient those mill scales are.
Yeah,
like, it was crazy. It went from a 12-hour cook to a 9-hour cook. So
crazy.
It was like saving so much time. But yeah, so we have those. And then one of the guys that I have on my team, Mark, he also has a 500-gallon pit from I believe PRM in Houston. So if ever need be, we'll load up his pit with some beef ribs or something.
Heck yeah.
And so what would you say the hardest part about operating a food truck or serving food in general is?
It's Again, it kind of goes back to this, where me personally, it's being away so much from like the family, right? And that's like a very tough mental aspect of things, right? Because sometimes you're exhausted and you're just like, man, I'm tired. I just want to I always want to see my kids, right? Or whatever it may be. But then some guy comes up to your truck and he's like, bro, he was like, I've lived on this earth for like 45 years and that brisket is the best brisket I've ever had. Right. And then you're like, oh yeah, you get like an adrenaline rush, you know what I mean? And you're just like, oh yeah, let's finish this shift. Let's rock this out. Let's crush it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like it has its ups and downs, but I think, the most difficult part about it all is like just the amount of time really and kind of being away. But, if you're putting out a good product and you're doing it week in and week out, it kind of takes care of itself, right? Because the people that are coming and eating with you, they love it. You can tell they love it, and they're inviting, friends. You see them again, they become regulars, whatever it may be. And so, as far as difficulty, I would say it's that, for me personally. I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. There's accounting, there's marketing, there's, cooking, there's recipe development. There's so many different aspects of it, which I will say that I do hate the accounting aspect.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I do not like messing. I'm good with numbers, not gonna lie, but it pulls me away from like doing what I really love, right? Which is like creating the food or cooking or serving.
Sure.
So yeah, that's another aspect that's like, man, if you don't have somebody that's good at math, it's going to be tough to do that accounting on your end.
Yeah. So I think you kind of maybe answered this, but my next question was going to be, what's the most rewarding part about operating a food truck? But I know you said like when someone gives you a compliment, that adrenaline starts rushing, that starts going. So would you say that's the best part, or do you have something else that you feel is the best?
Yeah, no, that's a huge adrenaline rush, right? When somebody comes up and they tell you that was the best brisket they've ever had, or the best ribs, whatever it may be, it makes it all worth it, right? Especially like if you're somebody in my case where it's like for the longest time I was cooking everything and then serving everything. So I was literally from start to finish doing everything and then handing it to these people, and then to watch them come back and say something, give you a compliment, do whatever. It's like, oh man, thank you, right? Like, you appreciated, the 12, 15, 20 hours I just put in, even if it's just that one compliment, it means a lot. But also I think rewarding too now, I've noticed is being able to work with this team that I have. We've done we've done some work together on the food trucks as we get everybody cross-trained and ready for our grand opening. But working with them and seeing how passionate they are and how much they love doing this, it gets me re-energized, right? Like I get fired up because like they have ideas and they have cool specials that they come up with too already, and it's like it re-energizes you and gets you the juices flowing, you know what I mean, instead of everything just kind of coming out of my head, and I'd be the only source of inspiration for everybody. So yeah, they're really inspiring me, and I hope I'm inspiring them. So that's another rewarding aspect of kind of what we're doing right now.
Anybody that listens to this and isn't inspired, something's wrong with you. So besides your team, anybody that hears this and is not inspired by what Sebastian's done, maybe you should wake up or something, because I can tell you that just talking to you, I mean, we're very cheesy and inspired all the time anyway, because we have this dream. But man, seeing somebody that's actually doing it's inspiring for me as well. I'm sure it's inspiring for Sabrina.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome, because a lot, like for us, the biggest problem for us is we're growing, and we're gonna reach that point where we're gonna need the help too. We're gonna need a team to back us up, and being able to put your trust into people who are just as passionate in what you're doing as you are, like that's huge. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really optimistic for us to see that it's playing out that way for you, and it'll play out that way for us when the time comes.
Yeah, and I think also, like what Sabrina was saying, for me right now, I mean, kind of like when you were in the beginning, right? Like, you're the pit master. You're the customer service guy. You're the accountant. You're the trash guy. You're the everything, right? That's you. That's what you were. And right now, that's what Sabrina and I are, right? So we are the ones that film the YouTube videos together. We're the ones that put our orders together, for our seasonings. And it gets tough. There's been multiple times when we're like, man, we need some help. But realistically, I think we're still doing okay right now. We're not quite there, but we're pushing every single day closer and closer and closer to getting there. So I do think that that's awesome to hear from you, because you've built such a great team that you can trust, because like BBQ Fiends, that's your child, bro. Like that's your everything, right? In order to like, if I wanted to go and work for you, I mean, it's like, man, I got to know that you're all in, bro. Like I got to know that you're not just, some guy that doesn't want to, I don't know. Like I can only imagine what you've gone through in order to build a team and know that you can trust these guys. That does have to be very rewarding.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, we ran through, team members, and they all had I love them all, right? I know every single person that has ever, worked on the truck and did anything like that. Super appreciative of what they all did. But then it's like, whenever you find these people, that's why I say, we're blessed. It's because, we found Mark and we found Q and of course Reno, and these people that love this, right? Like this is what they do, right? This is what they want to do.
Sure.
It makes it is like night and day difference, man, because everybody now is just like feeding off of each other, right? And we're all just like on the same page. Everybody wants to make sure that the food is like picture perfect before it comes out the window. Like everybody's just like, it's so cohesive right now. And like, we're barely even getting started. You know what I mean? But this team formed, maybe a month ago. And so we're super excited to see, how we all end up growing together for sure.
That's awesome. Speaking of growth, where do you see BBQ Fiends in 5 more years? So basically, we've covered around 5 years of BBQ Fiends from 2019 till now. What do the next 5 years look like for you?
Definitely brick and mortar.
Nice.
That is the next step, right? Once we get established here and have our truck operating every weekend, get into the flow of things, if we needed to bring on more people, we'll bring on more people. But definitely, we are going to start planning for brick and mortar. Excuse me. Most likely in the Pflugerville, Texas area.
Sweet.
So that is like our ultimate goal, our immediate goal, and we would always keep the food truck. I think my vision right now is to operate the food truck. It's going to be successful, right? We have everything put in place for it to be successful, and then we are going to open up the brick and mortar and operate both, right? The brick and mortar, and then you be able to get maybe like our hamburgers or like our tacos or something like that out of the truck.
Sure.
Just specialty items, right? But at the brick and mortar, you can get our full menu, whatever it may be. So that's our immediate goal. And then of course, maybe some expanding, man. If everything goes right, 5 years, we can make a lot happen in 5 years at this point. I think we went through a lot of growing pains, and we seem to kind of be coming out on the other side of those, right? And so right now it seems like we're on a good trajectory. So I mean, why not open a branch somewhere else, right?
Sweet.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, man. Like I said, just everything that you've done to this point, your confidence that you have in yourself and your team, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's contagious. Sorry, it's very contagious. And man, we obviously wish you nothing but the best. So we did want to work into some questions. So we posted that we were going to have you on the podcast, and we got some questions from some people that we wanted to ask you. So there's a few questions, and not all of them are barbecue related. This question, the first one, comes from Chance Vernon. What's a band that you hate that everyone else loves? And he said he's going to enjoy this week's video.
A band that I hate that everyone else loves. Going back to probably high school days, junior high days, Fall Out Boy. Man, I don't know. It may be random, but like I remember everybody loving them, and I was like, these guys are so overrated. I was like, I can't listen to this. I was like, this isn't screamo.
Yeah, I know. So just I guess kind of to backtrack a little bit, right? So I would say the most Sebastian and I ever hung out was definitely in that high school era where we were really into like Senses Fail. Sebastian loved Fall Out Boy. No, I'm just kidding. We were really into like Senses Fail and like Silverstein, and then Job for a Cowboy came around, and Heavy Low, and man, like Sebastian actually. So again, we've been friends forever. But he's actually, him and Brendan, my friend Brendan, shout out Brendan, are like two of the reasons why I really got into like screamo and punk music, because I played golf with Brendan, and then of course we'd hang out with Sebastian, and like they're always listening to this, and I'm like, man, this is banger, you know, like what is the used, you know, and then I'm like major into the used, and you guys played a lot of Senses Fail, your band played a lot of Senses Fail, so I really got into Senses Fail because of Sebastian. So like they would play Buried Alive.
Oh,
like
really?
that was like their specialty in the day. So like Buried Alive from, I always tell Sabrina, and I promise you she will back me up on this, Let It Enfold You is the greatest album of all time.
Yeah. I
can listen to every single song on that album from start to finish and never feel like I'm bored of it.
Absolutely.
I love that album, dude.
No, I mean, honestly, bro, probably every like 3 months or something like that, I literally listen to that album from front to back.
Oh, dude.
Still, like to this day, still to this day.
Oh, dude, we were just on a road trip and we listened to the album, not fully, but we listened to probably like 6-8 songs in a row.
Yeah.
And I still love that album. But back to kind of what I was saying. So we went to a lot of concerts together, and I remember we went to the Taste of Chaos, and they're like, I want everybody to open the pit, and I want the wall of death, and we're like, what is going on? Because we were into it, right? But then we would still be like, bro, this is wild, and just so many fun and cool times. And I remember when we saw the Sounds of the Underground, that's where we first saw the Devil Wears Prada. And we had already liked them, but man, they killed it. Guar was there, and that's when we found out about the Acacia strain. I'll never forget it. There was a guy that came out like bloodied nose, broken nose, and he's like, let's go. And we're like, yeah, let's go. The Acacia strain really hit back in the day. Anyway, so that's kind of why Chance brings that question up, because I mentioned earlier that Sebastian was in a band, but like, I don't think you realize Sebastian was in a band. Like they were, this wasn't like like the same passion Sebastian has for barbecue. I would say you had that back in the day for music, right?
Oh yeah, man. We took it serious.
Oh dude, you guys took it serious.
We took it serious, man. Like we may have not gotten very big or anything like that, but dude, whenever I went on stage, I kid you not, I literally felt every time like I was playing in front of like thousands of people.
Oh yeah,
like 10 people in front of me. I was that guy that was like, all right, everybody needs to start beating each other up and run at each other. You know what I mean? And there'd be like 3 people looking at me like, what's this guy talking about?
Dude, but the funnest part about it and the coolest part about it is how like, dude, we just used to be able to show up to 13 Acre Park and you guys would be playing a band, and you guys would be just like playing a concert. And we're like, bro, like we're just in, where Son plays baseball right now.
Yeah.
There used to be like a stage, right? Like a big stage.
Oh yeah. There's not a stage there anymore?
Dude, it's gone, bro.
No.
They killed our childhood, bro. And then there was this other place called what was that cafe place called, bro?
Oh, espresso.com.
Espresso.com, where they would play concerts in there too. And it's just like, we literally just used to be able to go all around Portland and there'd be concerts wherever. And it was like our friends, like it was like Sebastian and them. And it was just wild. That's what I'm telling you. Like it's hilarious to think about where we were and where we are. Because if you would have ever told me when we're listening to the craziest rock music ever created to like, hey, you're gonna be barbecue guys, I'd be like, you're a liar, bro. There's no way. Like I'm seen right now. I'm into like, I want to wear my etnies and black t-shirts and stuff, I even remember there was a time, and I've told you this before, like I would be singing lyrics in the back of my parents' truck and they'd be like, what is wrong with you? because you know those lyrics we would listen to.
We just talked about that the other day. We're like,
So we were literally listening to "Let It Enfold You," and you know, like the song "You're Cute When You Scream," and dude, some of the lyrics in that are like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, wow, I love this song, but I sure hope our kids don't listen to stuff like this. It's just, it's funny, man. So Fall Out Boy was the answer. I know 20 minutes later we're back to it, but Fall Out Boy was Sebastian's answer to a band that he hates that everyone else seems to love. So moving on to the next one, Zach Smith. How do you build the confidence in yourself to have people pay for food that you cook?
That's a good one. And I think it falls back to kind of like a two-parter, right? The first part being, you know, you need to make sure that before you start serving everybody, serving people like that to that scale where you're collecting money, is that you have your recipes dialed in, right? Like you need to make sure that, you know, everything is consistent and you've done it a few times, and more than a few times probably, and that, you know, it's dialed in, right? You don't want to, you know, have a recipe where it's like potato salad and you're just eyeballing, oh, you know, maybe I'll put in a cup today, or, you know, a cup of mayonnaise, or, you know, next weekend I'll put in 2 cups of mayonnaise. You don't want to do that, right? Because, you know, people remember that stuff, right? And they'll come one week and they'll be like, man, this was so good. And then they'll come the next or the following, whatever, and they'll be like, this tastes nothing like what you did before.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say to build confidence for sure, practice your recipes, right? It's like playing a game, right? Before you go out and play a big game, you got to get your practice in.
Sure.
Right? And then also have a very honest group of people around you, right? To test these recipes and let them know get their feedback, because, you know, you need to be told the honest truth about stuff before you put stuff out, because, you know, we all have different taste buds, we all have different palates and stuff like that, and, you know, I tend to go a little bit on the hotter side with stuff, and then I you know, test out my recipes, and then everyone's like, bro, this is way too hot, you know.
You're talking about hot, like spice wise?
Spicy, yeah, spicy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then everyone's like, oh man, this is way too spicy, and then I'll know, okay, you know, the general public typically doesn't like a lot of spice like that, right? So I have to dial stuff back.
Sure.
But I think, you know, just having that core group of people that are going to tell you like it is, and then having your recipes, your meats, everything like that dialed in, that should give you the confidence to go out there and say, hey, look, I'm going to rock it this weekend. I have complete faith in what I'm going to do. So yeah, that's my biggest advice for that.
Awesome. That's a great question. That's a great answer. Well, that's a great answer. That's a great question from Zach.
Yeah. Our next question is from Manny Garza, and he says, what is y'all's view on Texas barbecue versus other areas? And also, what's your favorite brewery or location to serve at?
Yeah, so that's not the good one. So Texas barbecue, right? Before I don't want to offend anybody, you know, around the United States. Everybody has their good barbecue, their niches and stuff like that. But I think what makes Texas barbecue special is that a lot of, you know, other states around the U.S., man, they're trying to replicate Texas barbecue, right? They're trying to import post oak. They're trying to, you know, replicate the plates, the platters, the offsets that we're cooking on with down here in Texas, and so it makes it special, right? It's like this huge culture that has, you know, gone outside of Texas and kind of spread across the U.S. Whereas you see, you know, Kansas City or something like that, for example, you don't really see people in Texas opening up Kansas style city restaurants, right? It's kind of like weird, right? But in Kansas City, you see places opening up Texas style restaurants.
Right.
So it's one of those things where the culture here has developed, and people from all around the U.S., they come and they do tours and they learn from pit masters here. And then they go and they take their stuff back, and they try to open up restaurants around the U.S. that are Texas craft style barbecue, and it's just a true testament to you know, the way of cooking, the style, the offsets, the post oak. I think that really has resonated with a lot of people outside of Texas. And then what was the other question?
The other question was, what's your favorite brewery or location to serve at?
Oh yeah, okay. So favorite brewery, honestly, I love every single place that has ever given us the opportunity. The ones that we go to Rockabilly Brewery, Spirit of Texas, Blue Bonnet Brewery, and Texas Beer Texas Beer Company. These are all located north of Austin in kind of Williamson County.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are our favorites. We love those people. They have been super supportive to us. They gave us chances, whenever we were first starting out. And we've had a lot of success there with all those people. So if you're ever in those areas, make sure you go and support those guys for sure.
So Manny, he's actually one of the guys that you met at your food truck one day, and he told you, or I believe that he told you he knows me. He worked with Sabrina and I at HEB back in the day.
Super funny story. So the way I actually met Manny for the first time was I was at HEB, and it was like a last minute thing. Like I was trying to get some last minute stuff to cook for the service, and I saw this guy. He was walking with the Gulf Coast smoke shirt on.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, bro. I was like, that's a really cool shirt. I was like, do you know Alonzo? I was like, and he was like, oh, yeah, man. And he told a story about how he worked with y'all and everything like that. And I was like, oh, yeah. Dude. I was like, I grew up with Alonzo.
Yeah.
And it was just a small world, man, like super small world. And so, I told him about our barbecue food truck. He followed me on Facebook and Instagram or whatever. And, he ended up showing up.
That's awesome, man. Oh, Manny's a great dude. Manny's a great dude.
Yeah, so super cool, small world.
Yeah.
For sure.
So next question is from Dylan Neiman, who actually we both know. We grew up with Dylan as well. And, it's not really a question, but he says, I want to hear about BBQ Fiends' first true love, which was Screamo bands in junior high, which we did just talk about that a little bit. But, man, just to kind of expand off of that, what was your favorite band back in the day, man? Was it Census Fail?
Census Fail, I love Census Fail, but I loved The Used.
The Used, bro.
Yeah, the Maybe Memories album. Oh man, like
is that the one that Lunacy Fringe was on?
No.
Or that's Box Full of Sharp Objects.
Box Full of Sharp, Taste of Ink.
Yeah.
Buried Myself Alive.
Yeah, dude, that album was just The Used. I think is really what kind of like brought me into it. I was like, okay, but I used to love Lunacy Fringe. Do you remember back in the day, dude? This is how much I remember about this. One of our friends, Kate Schlinky.
Oh, yeah.
So she, anyway, her AIM name, AOL Instant Messenger, was XX Lunacy Fringe XX. And I remember like, what is Lunacy Fringe, right? And then I like started doing the research and I found out that Lunacy Fringe was a song by The Used. And then I got like really into it, and it just, like I said, there's a lot of deep history there with Sebastian, no doubt. So The Used, Census Fail, both great bands. On to the next one. When are you going to make this a sticker? From Noah. And I believe he's probably talking about your logo with the skull guy in the hat. Texas Crab Barbecue.
So,
do you have any stickers of that?
Yeah, we have stickers of that. We give them out on the truck. When people buy like our big platters and stuff like that, we throw them in there. But yeah, if you ever want a sticker, shoot me a message. I'll mail one to you. No big deal. We have a ton of them.
Okay.
But yeah, we that is a sticker already.
Sweet. Okay, Noah. So if you follow BBQ Fiends on social media, they can definitely hook you up.
We need one for our fridge.
Yeah, we need one for our fridge. So like our competition fridge, I have one on our Cambro, but we need to put one on our competition fridge.
So Chris Flanagan says, I want to know why you quit selling your rub.
Oh yeah, we get a lot of questions about the seasoning and everything like that. Basically what happened was, there's not even really a story to it. We just got too busy.
Yeah.
It was, we were at a crossroads, right? It was like, what are we going to do? We were getting so caught up with the pop-ups and everything like that. There just wasn't enough time to manage orders, to, ship things, to even think about it anymore. Right. It was just like, we just got sucked into this life of having to cook and serve and wanting to do that. And so, yeah, it got left in the wayside at a necessity, just to keep our primary goal alive, basically. Hopefully in the future, as we get more settled in and things like that, we'll see if there's time to to kind of address that again and bring some back or something like that. But as of right now, all of our time and focus, it's really going to be on the truck and kind of growing our service aspect of the business.
And it seems like that decision was a good one for you. I mean, things seem to be going good. And like you said, you always have time later to bring it back if you want to. But for anybody curious about the barbecue seasoning, may come back, may not. But if you go to the food truck, you can taste that barbecue seasoning on all of Sebastian's and his crew's delicious cooked food. So don't think you can never taste it. All you got to do is show up to the food truck. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
There you go. So the last question comes from you. And it says, would Gulf Coast Smoke do another Buffalo Wild Wings Blazing Wing Challenge with BBQ Fiends? And the answer is hell yeah, any day of the week. Dude, so again, very deep history with Sebastian. Like, seriously, you guys just don't get it. We could talk for hours on this podcast, I promise you. So back in the day, so my best friend's name is Gus, right? Dude, I can't believe we did this. So we did this more than once too, right?
Yeah, we did like 2 or 3 times.
Dude, we did like 2 or 3 times. And every time it was like, dude, why did we do that? It's the worst thing ever. So anyway, my best friend's name was Gus. Sebastian's Brandon. We mentioned him earlier. And out of nowhere, dude, we were just always hanging out. I was with Gus. He was with Brandon. We're like, dude, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings and try the Blazing Wings. If you eat 6 in under 10 minutes, you get a shirt or something, right? That's what it was back in the day?
Yeah, something like that.
It was like something, it didn't seem hard.
Small, yeah.
But we're dumb. So what we did was we didn't do the challenge of 6. We ordered 50 wings per group. So me and Gus and Sebastian and Brandon each ordered, we had 100 blazing wings right there, right? And I'm eating half, and Gus is eating half, and he's eating half, and Brandon's eating half, and we are literally like, our mouth up to our nose is like rashed red every single time. Like, I'm talking like an allergic reaction to our mouths. Like, we were almost crying. We were trying anything to stop the burn. Like, we had them bring out milk. We were pouring packets of Sweet and Low on our tongue to try and get anything to take the pain away. It was bad, dude. And we literally did it more than once.
Yeah. I don't
they
even
let
know
y'all
why
back?
we went back.
Yeah, I have no idea how they even let us back there, dude, because our table just had napkins and crap everywhere. It was disgusting. And like, Gus is over there like pouring water on his tongue, and like, it's just like hitting the table. I'm like, dude, how did these people not be like, you kids need to get out? Like, we weren't even old enough to drink beer or anything.
Right.
We're literally just there eating the hottest wings alive.
Yeah, those wings were hot, man. Like, I remember they were so hot that I think like the sauce on them would like burn your fingers. Like,
oh, for sure.
It would literally burn your skin. And I'll never forget your face, dude. It was so broken out with like that rash because of it. I was like, oh my God.
Dude, it was bad. Dude, it was bad. And like I said, we did it. For us to even do it twice is like the stupidest thing ever. And we literally did. It just was crazy.
Did y'all actually complete it each time?
We did it every time. But no, I mean,
we did.
But it took us forever. Like, it didn't take us 10 minutes. But at one point, we all realized the faster you eat them, the less it burns in that moment.
Right.
It's just going to burn a lot more in the back end. So, like, at one point, we're like, just grubbing wings. Like, just like, oh my, okay, it's bad, but I'm eating them so fast that it's not that bad. And then, like, in the end, it's just like, you're dying. Like, I'm literally, like, crying. Mucus is literally coming out of our noses. It was wild.
Imagine looking over to the next table.
Oh, they're probably like, what?
Kids, yeah.
They're like, what are these kids doing? But I would absolutely do it again. I just wouldn't do a 50 piece. Like, if we did a 12 piece, I would be down. But I don't.
Yeah.
I don't, dude. There's no, like, again, there's no reason why we did this. No good reason, at least. And yeah, but I would absolutely do it.
Yeah, I would do it again, but I would definitely probably take like a ton of Pepsid before, because I don't know if my body can handle it. In my age now, I don't know if I can handle
I don't even know if our body could handle it at that point, bro. I don't think that we could. Yeah, I agree. It's because we're pretty much double in age from the last time we did that. I mean, literally pretty much double in age since the last time we did that. And yeah, man, that's just absolutely hilarious. So that was the questions that we had for you, man. Again, fun time talking on the podcast. The last thing that I wanted to ask you, because we did talk a lot about BBQ Fiends and your growth and how you saw it from the outside looking in. One of the biggest things that people ask us all the time is they ask for my dad to come on the podcast because they want his perspective on our growth, like from the beginning to now. Now, my dad's the type of person that he will never come on the podcast. That's just not his thing. But you, I mean, literally are the only person besides Sabrina and my dad, like from when I very first started this, you saw us start, right? You saw us kind of not really get anywhere on Instagram, and then transition into YouTube, and now we're doing seasonings and everything. I mean, and you can be completely honest, what do you think about our growth since 2019 to now?
Yeah, no, I'm super proud of both of y'all and what y'all have managed to accomplish in that time frame. I remember, talking to you, Alonzo, whenever you started doing the YouTube, and I was like, man, I was, straight up with you. I was like, dude, I could never do that. I was like, I'm so impressed. I was impressed at that time, and y'all had like y'all's first video. I was like, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, that seems like something that I could never even possibly figure out. And then, excuse me. And then as it continued to grow, I mean, y'all putting out videos every week. And then I think we even talked again. I was like, dude, the fact that y'all are doing this weekly is nuts. I was like, dude, that requires so much skill and talent and everything like that to come up with these recipes, film them, produce them and put them out. Like, man, like kudos to y'all for sure for being so dedicated too. I've mentioned the word consistency a ton of times throughout this, meeting, and man, y'all are consistent, right? And I think y'all being so consistent with YouTube and everything else that y'all are doing, the seasonings and all that stuff, y'all have blown up, man. You know what I mean? It's super cool to see now. Everybody's like, man, they want all these tips and tricks from you and stuff like that, right, from both of y'all. Whenever y'all are cooking those briskets and doing all that stuff. And man, I mean, the competition style food, dude, that's like work of art. You know what I mean? Like whenever y'all are posting y'all's boxes, I'm like, dude, how are these briskets look so perfect? I was like, it's nuts. You know what I mean? They're just so uniform and everything about them is just like flawless, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, from the outside looking in, huge hats off to y'all and what y'all have accomplished. I never really thought you were going to go down the competition route. I'm not going to lie.
Me either.
Yeah, I think we've even had conversations that we were like, I just never saw that coming. But man, it seems like it really worked out, right? And y'all are getting grand champs and crushing it out there for sure. So super proud of that. I mean, that's something that's funny, right? That's like the competition cooks and then the restaurant cooks. They kind of always say the vice versa thing. I could never do that, and I can never do that. You know what I mean? And I can never compete. I'll be honest with y'all, in that aspect. And so, yeah, it's been awesome. I can't wait to see, what y'all continue to do. I love y'all seasonings.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I've even shared I think the guys came over, recently. We had just like a little cook, my team members, and we made a tri-tip, and I think we put the layer of the base on there, topped with the hospitality, and man, so good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that was like a pit snack.
Yeah, for sure.
It was so good, and so I think again, super proud of how far y'all have come, and can't wait to see what y'all have in the future. For sure. I think for sure y'all are definitely on a upward trajectory as well. So, I think never sell yourself short. Y'all have accomplished a lot. and y'all still have so much more to continue to do.
For sure.
I'm definitely excited to see it unfold.
Yeah. No, yeah, we didn't want to make it about us, right? But we do get that question a lot. Like, people are like, what does your dad think? And I'm like, man, he's proud of us, I guess. He tells me he's proud of me all the time, but it's just, I wanted someone's perspective from the outside looking in that has seen it. The way that Sabrina and I are wired is, while we are proud, we're not done. So we try not to live on too much of a high or a low. It's just like, we're trying to do something every single day to expand our business and to become better. And, Sabrina is always trying to figure out different ways to edit, different ways to film. We talk about recipes all the time, and sometimes it's just, they don't work. Sometimes they do, but we just keep going. So, again, anybody that's out there that's listening, man, just make that first post just the way Sebastian did, just the way I did. Terrible first posts, terrible first YouTube video from us. And, not that we're doing anything great, but, we're definitely moving closer and closer and closer towards our goal, which is making videos full time. So, man, the last thing we wanted to do was give you an opportunity to have any shout outs. Do you got any shout outs that you want to give?
Yeah. So I do want to say something right before I get into shout outs.
Sure.
So I've kind of referenced it a couple times in our conversation, but we are finally going to be opening up permanently in a permanent spot every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with our soft opening starting next Thursday at a brewery called Rockabilly Brewery in Hutto, Texas.
Sweet.
Very soon I'll be posting our hours, menu, things like that. And we're kind of going full steam ahead. Kid-friendly place. They brew their own beers. They're going to have other people's beers on tap too. And we will be there. The food truck will be stationed there from here on out.
Sweet.
So super excited for that. So y'all stay tuned for that announcement. And then, so shout outs, definitely shout out to my family for putting up with, not putting up, but, for being so understanding of what's happening and things like that. And I always tell them, right now we're growing. And then finally, I'm going to have a little bit more relief, right? I'm not going to have to spend 24 hours a day cooking and serving. So shout out to them for all that. Of course, my dad, I literally talk to my dad multiple times, 3-4 times a week, just bouncing ideas off of him, telling him what went wrong in this cook and just kind of getting his feedback. So shout out to him.
Such a good dude, by the way. That dude has we'll do like little pop-ups in town, trying to showcase our seasonings, and like he'll roll up, dude. Just such a good dude, bro. Really, really, really love your dad, man. He's awesome for that, for supporting us, and obviously for giving you all that feedback. Sorry to interrupt you, but I did just want to throw that in there.
No, and I think that's super cool about what he does. It's like he understands the barbecue community, and he's super supportive of everybody.
Yeah.
And that shows a lot, for him. And I try 100% try to be the same. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like we're all in this together. And, I want to help as many people as I can and use whatever platform I have, or just whatever, pool I have to help anybody up and coming, or, or even established. I just kind of, that's how I'm kind of built. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to give back to everybody. So yeah, he's the same way. Super cool. And then of course my team, Reno, Q, and Mark, super cool guys. We are looking forward to serving y'all here soon. And our community, our city of Pflugerville, thank y'all so much for having us. All of our customers, all of our regulars. We're leaving Pflugerville. It's not a goodbye. It's see you later type of deal. Going to Hutto. But we'll be back. And so thank you again to the city of Hutto for even having us. So we can't wait to grow.
So anybody that wants to follow along with Sebastian, we're going to put links to his Facebook and his Instagram in here. And you guys need to follow along again to make sure that you know that exactly when he's going to be open, what exactly he's serving. And, of course, you want to get the address to Rockabilly Brewery. Don't forget, next Thursday, he's going to have a soft opening at Rockabilly. And you said you're going to be releasing that menu soon, so stay tuned for that. I know the wife and I have already talked about it. We're definitely going to head up. We're definitely going to order everything on the menu. That's just what we love to do. We love to go to barbecue spots and order one of everything, a pound of everything, which is way too much food. But, hey, I tell you what, I'll try and eat it. Yeah, I know I can't, but I'll try my best to eat it. Man, we can't.
That's how you do it.
Oh, yeah, we can't wait to be there to support you. You and I have talked about a few different ways that we can collaborate this year. Hopefully we can get out there. We can bring some cameras and show you guys BBQ Fiends in video format. We can talk to Sebastian at the truck. We can talk to some of his pit masters. We can check out his pits. We've talked plenty of times privately about how we can make things happen, and we got some things in the works. So you guys stay tuned for that as well. But man, again, thanks so much for being on the show today. It really is cool to hear how we started and then hear how you're doing right now, which, man, we're proud of you too, because again, I literally, dude, I remember, man, like, hey, do you think this picture is good? Should I edit it more? So, hey, Sebastian, like, dude, I literally remember having conversations with you, man. I'm not growing. Can you look at my videos or can you look at my pictures? Like, where do you think I need to change? What do you think I need to do? Or like, if I had a good picture that day, you'd be the first one to text me and be like, bro, that was a fire pick. Like, you need to do more like that. So great friend, great person, a great cook, a great pit master. Everybody needs to go try. So recently you did a pop-up here in Corpus and you had barbacoa and you had tamale sausage, which we brought it. I brought it home. Man, we tore it up. Everything was incredible. So be on the lookout for those special and those unique things that you're going to find at BBQ Fiends. Again, follow along. Links in the description. Man, thank you again for being on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate y'all.
No problem, brother. Thanks again to Sebastian for being on the podcast today. We really appreciate it. We felt like it was an absolutely great episode. Hopefully you guys picked up some tidbits there and some inspiration if you're looking to do something yourself. If you guys are interested in watching us, obviously you can do that here on YouTube. You can listen to us on all podcast platforms. Thanks for watching. Peace.